Williams is president and chief economist at the American Legislative Exchange Council, great sponsor of the program. We find him today at the state up north at his home campus of Norwood University. And we don't have to say what state it's in, Jonathan, but what is a Great Lakes Regional Legislator Academy?
Well, hey, Hugh, and greetings from the campus in Northwood. It's a great day to be up in Michigan to talk with a lot of great free market leaders from all over the region. And we got folks from 5 or 6 different states here exploring conservative and free market policy ideas that will continue to move the Midwest in the right direction. Lots of great ideas, whether it's from Ohio, Indiana, and yes, Michigan. Hugh, there's some good things to be had. And you know what? Competition at the end of the day is a very healthy thing, whether in business or in this case, certainly in government.
So the one thing the Great Lakes State have, all of them, is water. And water increasingly becomes valuable as the world industrializes. Do they realize that? Do they stick to the water compact?
No, I think that's absolutely an issue. I know we have Speaker Matt Hall, our good friend from Michigan, here with us on site. He spoke to us at lunch, and he was out at the White House with President Trump and Governor Whitmer. If you remember that, the famous meeting there that happened earlier this year, and a lot of that was around Michigan water issues, and so that is absolutely a key element of things. But also, in addition to that, right? I mean, a lot of the electricity demand issues, the shared grid that a lot of the states have when it comes to energy security. And of course, many of the other economic issues like taxes and jobs. I mean, just last couple of weeks, as you know, we were in Indianapolis for the ALEC annual meeting. I interviewed Governor Braun there. We had Vivek Ramaswamy there. Lots of good competitive governors this day and age in the Midwest again. It kind of reminds me of the days of John Engler and Tommy Thompson and some of those great governors from the 90s, where I think a lot of the policy innovation is going to once again happen in the Midwest, Hugh.
The region needs it. The country needs it. Let's quickly switch to a national issue, the Medicaid reforms in the One Big Beautiful Bill. You wrote about it this week. Are they popular?
I think when it's unpacked and it's described properly, absolutely. I mean, you get the liberal media headlines, Hugh, that are describing this as a cut. I had a reporter reach out to me recently asking me what I thought about these large Medicaid cuts to the states, what that's going to mean for state budgets. And I said, well, wait a minute, can you help me understand that? Please explain what kind of Medicaid cuts you're talking about. And it was like a lot of gibberish there that they couldn't actually articulate whatsoever what kind of cuts there will be. And of course, that's the reality of it, is what Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune and President Trump did in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act was to say, let's root out the waste, fraud, and abuse. Let's make sure that Medicaid funding is available for those who really need it as a social safety net program. And let's do some common sense things that actually poll at 80 or 90%, such as work requirements for able-bodied working age men with no kids, who all they need to do under the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, 20 hours a week of work or volunteering, to say, let's have a stake in the game. And if you want to keep your Medicaid, you can keep your Medicaid, but you've got to go through those basic requirements.
I think that is it makes common sense. Let's turn now to something I didn't know. I was long against Chevron deference. It's dead now, but it's not dead in all the states. I got your newsletter. Missouri has decided to follow the ALEC model and eliminate judicial deference to state agency decisions. How many states have done this? Because this is wildly important at the federal level, but I didn't realize states were doing it.
That's right. I mean, I think we're growing in quantity every single month there this year, Hugh. And I think we're up towards a double digits amount of states that have worked on our ALEC model to get rid of that Chevron deference, because a lot of folks forgot that, yes, it was fixed at the federal level with Loper Bright, but at the state court level, it still needs to be addressed. And red states and blue states alike have come to ALEC for policy guidance and are introducing it in states across the country. So we had Senator Schroer and we had Representative Keithley and Governor Kehoe working on this. We are very glad to honor them as our policy champions. Most recently, they're on the ALEC website, and we hope that many other states consider this if they didn't consider it in 2025.
I hope everyone who's listening or watching on the Salem News Channel goes and orders alec.org/Hugh. You will sign up for the ALEC weekly newsletter, and you would find out, for example, that North Carolina this week overrode Governor Stein's veto, and now there's a Rhines Act in North Carolina. 45 seconds, Jonathan Williams. What's that require?
Well, it's another common sense idea that says if a rule or regulation costs over, in this case, $4 million a year, it needs the approval of the legislature to go forward. The legislature needs to have that check and balance on the administrative state, unaccountable bureaucrats. And in the case of North Carolina, it was a massive bipartisan vote of the legislature led by Speaker Hall and Leader Berger there in the Senate to override the governor's veto. I have no idea why he would veto something that common sense to start with, but it's another great step in the right direction for North Carolina.
ALEC is powering so many reforms. You ought to stay on top of what they are doing. Go to alec.org/Hugh and sign up for their weekly newsletter, alec.org/Hugh. The State of the States newsletter is something you ought to read every single week. Thank you, Jonathan. I hope you get to visit Ohio on this trip. You've been to Indiana and Michigan. You got to go to the Buckeye State.